If you have ever run out of content ideas or just did not know what to create content about, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 simple strategies that are going to help you never again run out of content ideas. I promise you, if you apply these strategies and if you combine them all together, you will have a system that will guarantee you unlimited content ideas. No matter what you're doing, whether you're writing or creating videos or doing photography, this is the way to become truly creative in your field and in your niche. So stay tuned. I'm excited to share these with you and let's get into it. So let's jump right into technique number 1. So this is going to be how we're going to get you to become a idea generating machine. James Altucher had a great article about how to become an idea machine. And in it, he talks about a technique he does himself and recommends to everyone who wants to be more creative. And the technique is very simple. All you do is you sit down and every day you try and come up with 10 new ideas. Now, James uses these ideas in different fields of his life. So it might be business ideas, it might be ideas about how to improve a product or improve his content or just anything. And he credits this technique for becoming incredibly creative and generating lots and lots of ideas. Now, when I heard about this technique, I thought this was a fantastic idea. It was a fantastic idea to use. And when I started my content creation journey, I thought that this is what I should do to make sure that I never run out of ideas. Because when I just started, it was very intimidating. When you just start into content creation, it feels like everything has been already done. It feels like everyone has great ideas. But when you're just starting out, your brain is not primed for the ideas and for coming up and for looking for new creative ideas of content to create. And so when you're just starting out, it's very difficult. It feels like you just have nothing. And it becomes this very laborious and anxiety producing process of sitting down to create content because every day you're wondering, what am I going to create content about? So when I started, I took James's idea, and what I did was I basically set myself a rule. Every day I would sit down for 5 to 10 minutes and I would come up with as many ideas for content as I could. Now, I actually sat down every day. I tried to schedule it so it's roughly at about the same time. And I would set a timer, and I found that a timer was very helpful. I would set a timer initially just for 5 minutes. And for that whole 5 minutes, I would sit in front of my computer and I would type whatever ideas came into my mind. Now, what you'll find when you do this is that in the beginning, your idea well will be very dry. Your brain is just not ready. It's not primed. It needs to warm up. So for that first minute or two, pretty much nothing is going to be coming to you. And when this happens, a useful trick to use or a useful technique to use is to be able to, I'm going to just read off here, it's to be able to use some prompts that will help kind of spark your imagination and spark your idea generation. So I'm going to give you a few prompts that I used myself, and hopefully they will help you as well in those first minutes if nothing is coming to you. So when I was thinking about what kind of content I could create, some of the ideas were, or some of the prompts I used were, number 1, what ideas would I like to share with the world? Number 2, how can I add value to the lives of others through content? Number 3 was, what do I know that could be helpful to someone else? And number 4 was, what have I learned during the past week, month, year that others might find interesting or useful? Now, of course, you could come up with your own prompts, but when I sat down and if I felt that nothing was coming to me, no ideas were coming to me, then these prompts really helped kind of start and kickstart the creativity engine. So I would sit down in front of my computer, open a brand new document, and I would start my timer. When I just started, it was 5 minutes, and then as I got better, it went up to 10 minutes. And I would just start writing these ideas one after the other. Now, in the beginning, like I said, I used the prompts, and whenever I got stuck, I kind of just wrote down the question again to spark my creativity. And what I found was that eventually, by the end of the session, I became much more creative. I was able to associate ideas with old ideas with new ideas. I was able to kind of connect the dots, and I was able to come up with nice content ideas that I just did not know were available to me at the time. And I think that's why this technique is so powerful. It sort of starts priming the creativity pump. When you start out fresh, you feel like you've got no ideas. It feels very intimidating. But as you come up with one idea, it's actually a little bit easier to then come up with another idea. And slowly but surely, your brain starts picking up this creativity steam, and it starts rolling and rolling and rolling with it up until you find yourself coming up with random ideas for content all the way throughout the day, all different times throughout the day. And that's why I think this is the first step for anyone who wants to become more creative and who feels like they're stuck on ideas. You sit down, you put a timer, and you start generating as many ideas as possible. And after a few days of this, you're going to find yourself to become, like James said, an idea generating machine. So this is the technique number one out of the 4 techniques I'm going to share with you. Nice and simple, but I think this is where it all starts. Now, don't worry how many ideas you come up with in a session. All that matters is that you sit down every day and that you try and come up with these ideas. Even if you come up with 2 to 3 ideas per day, and even if only 1 or 2 of them are usable, that's still incredible. What you're going to do is eventually you're going to add all of these ideas to one major master idea list, and you're basically going to have this list that you can always go to whenever you're lacking in inspiration. So whenever you don't know what to make a video about or what to write about, all you need to do is you need to go to this list, this master idea list that you've created, and keep adding on ideas to, and you just choose a topic that interests you. Now, I find that when I do this technique, I also usually have more than just the title. For example, if I'm thinking about video ideas, usually it's only the titles that come to me, such as, a title for this video would be how to come up with content ideas or how to never run out of content ideas. But I also find that during those 5 to 10 minutes, I'm starting already to think about different things like the outline for the content, the little subtitles or the little subpoints or bullet points for each idea. So when you're doing this, make sure that you're actually writing down those points and the outline, whatever comes to you, whatever inspiration your brain gives you, you better take it in that moment and write it down, because later on, it will not be available to you unless you capture it. And so during this moment, this is the time where you write as much as you can. If you find that you have a title coming to your mind and then you have 5 minutes of writing just more about that title, great. That means that when you add it to your master list and you choose it to create content around it on another day, this is amazing because you're already going to have not only just the title and the idea, you're going to have it somewhat fleshed out as well, and you'll have so much less work to do when you're actually recording or when you're actually writing. So that's technique number 1, to become an idea generating machine. Okay, moving on to technique number 2. So this is all about capturing ideas. You see, inspiration is not on demand. We think that when we sit down to write or to create content, Monday morning at 8 a.m., that's when I want my inspiration to strike. But it doesn't work that way. We all know that. We know that we have ideas that come up to us, when we're in the shower or when we're out and about. And when we actually sit down to write, well, guess what? Those ideas, they're not available anymore. And what happens is usually when we sit down to write in front of a blank page, or we sit to create content in front of a camera, our brain goes whoop, and nothing comes out. It's dead silent in there. So this is why it's so important to capture inspiration when it happens. You kind of have to capture it and bottle it for later. If you followed the first technique and if you started doing your daily idea generation practice, then you're going to find yourself starting to be much more creative in everyday situations as well. You're going to find yourself going about your day and your brain is going to be primed to look and to come up and to combine different ideas together and to serve these new ideas to you in these random situations. And you better have a way to capture them, or else they will be gone forever. Never think that you will be able to remember an idea, because trust me, you probably will not. So there are 2 ways to do this, to capture these ideas wherever they come to you, and they are either analog or digital. So of course, the easiest way, the analog way, is to carry a little notebook with you, something maybe one of the field notes notebooks that fits in your pocket. You just carry it with you with a pen, and whenever an idea pops into your mind, you write it down, and then when you come home, you kind of empty that notebook and you add all of the ideas into a master list. For me, I prefer digital. So what I did was I actually went through 2 different workflows. I'll share with you my older workflow, and I'm also going to share with you the one I'm trying right now. So what I used to do is I use a task app that is called Todoist. Some of you may be familiar with it, but no matter whatever, if you use a task app, I think a lot of them have these have the same functionality. So what these task apps have is they have the ability to do a quick capture of whatever thought, idea, or task you have wherever you are. So for example, if I'm working on my computer, all I need to do is press Option or Alt space on a Mac, and Todoist, which is the app I used to use, would bring up a little dialog box, and in it you could enter your idea and you could enter any details around it, any tags that define it, and you just press enter and it's saved in an inbox. And so later on during the day you can go into your inbox and you can kind of process it. And what I really liked about Todoist is it was very quick, very easy. There was very little friction. You know, if you're trying to capture ideas in Evernote or in one of these, even I tried doing it in Notion or Google Docs, it becomes very clunky. You have to open the document and you have to find the spot where you last added the idea. It's just not practical. Ideas are they're very finicky. They're very slippery. You want to make sure you catch them as soon as they present themselves. Otherwise, they might be gone forever and you're never going to see them again. So I used to use Todoist, and in Todoist, I would just open the quick capture box, enter my idea wherever I was. They have an app for the phone as well. I'm taping with my phone today. And so I'm looking for my phone and it's right there. And so they have the quick capture on both the phone, they have it on the laptop as well. And they also have the ability to add tasks with either Alexa or with Siri. I'm gonna blank out Alexa so it doesn't trigger anything in your smart home because it's getting triggered on my desk right now.
I'm not sure.
Exactly. So as I was saying, we want to make sure that we capture these ideas. Todoist was what I used to use before. And now I'm experimenting with a new app. It's called Drafts. So Drafts is a note-taking app. It's for the Mac and iOS only. So you don't have a PC version, unfortunately. But basically the idea is that it also has a quick capture note capability. And what I like about it is that you kind of press your keys and it right away takes the note. You don't really have to even title it. You don't have to do much. You don't have to select anything about which folder it goes into your note-taking app, and it has a very nice smooth interface. And so what I do is I capture all of my ideas whenever they come to me in the Notes app, Drafts, and then throughout the day or at the end of the day, I go into my inbox of all the ideas that I captured that day, and then I just process through them and I add them all to my master list. I kind of sort through. If I find that some ideas are good, I'll add them. If I find that some ideas are not that good, I don't have to add them. I can kind of just throw them out, or I can work on them and develop them a little bit more. But I found that ever since I started generating new ideas started coming to me more naturally as well. And I think you're going to find the same way. You're going to find that your creativity increases dramatically after you start applying the first technique. And now you're going to have to be able to capture all of these ideas that are coming at you. You're going to have to find a way to capture them. In terms of actually capturing and organizing all the ideas for long-term storage and long-term use, I'm currently using Google Spreadsheets, but I don't actually like it that much. So I'm still looking for a new app or a new workflow to store these ideas for the long term, because it's important to have a convenient list of ideas that you can enter at any given point in time, and you can actually use it whenever you need to come up with content ideas or whenever you're stuck and looking for inspiration. I also would like that system to be able to be tagged in terms of what ideas I've published, which ideas I want to tackle next, and kind of just have the ability to tag them. I'm exploring Notion for this purpose, but Notion has some complex database issues and so on that I just have not really gotten around learning. So as I discover more, I'm sure I will share it with all of you. And if you have ideas of how to store these ideas for long term, then feel free to share them in the comments below. Okay, so technique number 3 is all about input and output. Now, funny enough, I saw that my microphone during the last clip or during the last technique, when I was talking about technique number 2, was slowly inching its way down, and while it started up here, it actually ended up way lower. So I hope the sound quality came out okay. Also today I'm trying out a different setup. Usually I film on my Canon M50, but today I'm actually trying to film on my iPhone XS Max. just because I feel like I wanted to try a different dynamic. I'm also recording with this microphone. This is the Samson Q2U, and I think it's making a really big difference. I'm in a room that's pretty echoey, and I used to record with this guy, which is the Boya mic. It's similar to the Rode, and I found it was okay, but it was a little bit too echoey in this room in particular because it's a very small office space. But I think that the Samson is holding up okay, so we're gonna see. I think it's again slipping a little bit. We're gonna adjust it here. This is live action, folks. Let's see. Boom. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, now that's good. So moving on, as we said, technique number 3 is all about improving your inputs. So I actually made a video about this and you can check it out right here. It's about the simple equation that can change your life. And it's all about how input equals output. This was a big idea that I took away from Austin Kleon in his book, Steal Like an Artist. So this is a fantastic book. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Austin Kleon in general has some fantastic content for creators. If you are a new creator, one of the books that has really impacted me and has impacted many other creators by him are, first of all, Steal Like an Artist, and second of all, it's a book called Show Your Work, which is another fantastic book which really opens you up for if you have any self-doubt as a creator, as a writer, as a YouTuber, then this is the book for you. It shows you that you don't need to be an expert. You just need to put your content out there. You need to show your work, show your process, show your journey. And as Gary Vee says, document, don't create. Anyway, in his book, Steal Like an Artist, Austin Kleon talks about the idea that all ideas are nothing is really original. Everything is a remix of something that came before. So there are no original ideas. All creativity is taking previous ideas and combining them, remixing them, mixing them in new and unique ways. And that's how we get new ideas. And so he goes on to talk about this thing that actually programmers use. It's a saying that they use that says garbage in, garbage out, and it's pretty much equal to your inputs equal your outputs. The idea is that we are all creating new ideas based on the inputs that we put into our minds. So your creativity is determined by your inputs. If you find yourself not creative enough, if you find yourself that your ideas are just not hitting the mark, that you're not having great ideas, you should start considering to change your inputs. Maybe start reading new things, start looking at new things, start watching new shows, start listening to new podcasts. You basically want to surround yourself with the inputs that will influence you in a positive way and will spark your creativity. Austin Kleon has a great quote that says, your job is to collect good ideas. The more good ideas you collect, the more you can choose from to be influenced by. And I think that's fantastic. If you are lacking in creativity, you need to fill yourself up with ideas, things that generate ideas. So read a lot, explore a lot, go to new places, talk to new people, listen to new conversations, watch new movies. And slowly but surely, you're going to start opening yourself up to this magical mixture that creativity is, of ideas banging against other ideas and creating new ideas. That's what it's all about. It's all a remix. It's all about using previous ideas to create something new. And so that's technique number 3. It's all about inputs equal your output. So if you're not happy with your output, make sure that you change and add to your input. Okay, so we are moving on to the final technique, the final strategy for becoming an idea generating machine, and it's all about planning your content in advance. So this is where an editorial calendar comes into play. There are different levels to this, but basically when you are coming up with new ideas, you're going to have this master list of ideas. In the beginning, it's perfectly fine to just sit down whenever you want to write or whenever you want to create content, and it's fine to just dip into that master list of ideas, choose one and start working on it. A more advanced strategy would be to maybe choose your idea the night before or the day before. So what you could do is you could look at your master list of ideas and you could think to yourself, okay, what would I like to create content about? If let's say tomorrow is your content creation day, what would I like to create content about tomorrow? What would I like to write about tomorrow? Now, the benefit of this is number one, when you sit down to write or to create, you are free. You're free of distractions. You don't have to choose. You don't have this decision fatigue about figuring out, okay, out of all of these ideas, which one should I choose today? You want to eliminate as much friction as possible when it comes to creating content and when it comes to writing, because it's so difficult already that the more friction we have, the more anxiety we have around the process. You want to make it as easy as possible for you so that you are more likely to do it. Procrastination usually happens because not because the task itself is difficult, but oftentimes it happens because your workflow around the task, your process is not ideal. It causes too much friction, causes too much resistance. So by choosing your topic ahead of time, by knowing, okay, tomorrow I'm going to write about this and this, or I'm going to make a video about so and so, you're eliminating friction for the day of content creation. You can just sit down, pull out your camera, pull out your microphone, and start recording. The next level beyond that, if you feel like you've already progressed to that level and you feel comfortable with that, you can actually start planning out your content for weeks or months in advance. And this is where an editorial calendar comes in. All an editorial calendar really is just a plan of what content you're going to create and publish and when. Now, the benefit of this is it's definitely more planning, but the benefit is that you are able to choose you're able to roadmap your topics in such a way that you know that you can start here and you can make a nice progression through the different topics and end up from point A to point B. So it allows you to plan your content and your topics in a much more strategic way. So for example, you could think that, okay, you could choose themes for the month of January. So in January, I'm talking all about goals and I'm going to be producing this piece of content on Monday, this piece of content on Wednesday, and this piece of content on Friday. And you could even create sequences or series where you start with from the very beginning of a topic and throughout the month or throughout whatever your calendar sequence is, throughout that flow, you are covering every point along the line that you want to cover. And so it makes it much easier for your readers or followers to digest your content. So basically your content is not spread all over the map, one idea here, but instead it leads to a conclusion. It makes more sense. And I think in the beginning, when you are just starting out, it's not necessary. In the beginning, the most important thing that you can do is publish. It's to create and publish content. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. My whole goal right now is to create and every day to try and improve a little bit, little by little. And if I know myself, if I start overthinking, then it becomes very difficult for me to actually act. The more I plan and the more I think, the more I procrastinate on the actual creation, because I feel that, it's not perfect yet. It's not good enough yet. I want to think more about it. I want to prepare more. But I found that the best way for me to get through that procrastination period of just waiting to start is by just starting. And so for me in the beginning, it was very useful to just choose a topic and create content around it. Choose a topic, create content about it. The negative about that is that my content right now is spread all over the place. I have content about goal setting, I have content about limiting beliefs, I have content about finding your niche, and I have content about this not running out of content ideas. But I'm okay with it in the beginning because right now my main goal is just to focus on practicing the art of content creation. If you feel yourself that you are at a next level and you're ready to grow and you're ready to kind of take your content creation a little bit more seriously or more strategically, then the editorial calendar is probably the right way for you. And you should probably start moving all of your content and planning all of your content based on that. I think that no matter what, if you use all 4 of these steps that I've shown you today, all 4 of these strategies in a sequential manner, you're going to find that each one builds on the next. So when you first start generating ideas, you're going to start getting more ideas randomly through the day. You're going to capture those ideas. You're going to add them to your master list. You're going to start changing your inputs to be more creative and read more books and watch more videos and listen to more podcasts that inspire you and influence you in a positive way. And finally, you're going to plan out your content ahead. I guarantee you that if you do this, not only are you going to become much more creative in general, but you're also never going to run out of content ideas again. And the whole content creation process is going to be so much more enjoyable for you. You're going to actually look forward to it because there's less friction. And there are many of these other parts of content creation that if we can just get the workflow right, if we can get the process right, then we remove a lot of this friction and anxiety around it. So the key for making sure that you enjoy doing something is really to think through your process for doing it and finding ways if maybe you're being inefficient or if maybe you're doing stuff that is causing you stress, to try and eliminate it as much as possible. If you do everything in the optimal way, content creation can and should be effortless. Not easy, but at least simple. And I think that this will definitely help you with that. So I don't think after this you will ever face the problem of running out of ideas of what to talk about and what kind of content to create. I hope this video helped you. My name is Mark, if we haven't met yet, and on this channel we talk about ideas that can make your life better. I release content. I'm on a content creation challenge right now, and I try and release content 5 days per week. So that means that every week you can expect 5 videos on this channel. If you don't follow me yet, I recommend you check me out on Instagram as well, and as well as Twitter, because on those I post also just as frequently, but I post different kinds of content. And on Twitter I post more short form content, and on Instagram I post a little bit more behind the scenes. I do a lot of stories as well. If you're interested, I'd love to have you follow along on the journey. Other than that, if you have any questions, any comments, if you like this setup, if you've seen my other videos, if you prefer this to the other videos, if you like the audio, the video, the lighting, anything and everything, please let me know in the comments below. I'm also going to leave in the description below all of the links to the videos that I mentioned today. If you're interested, feel free to check them out. Beyond that, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And definitely subscribe to the channel, because that's where you're going to get all the good stuff. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Until then, stay safe, be well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.